Welcome back to another episode of the Live Your Yes Life podcast. My name is Lisa Limita, and I will be your host today. So, every week we bring you guys channeled thoughts, discussions, and interviews on what it takes to go from dreaming and wishing to actively living your yes life. This week, I have a really special guest for you all. Her name is Hanna Hermanson. She's a top voice in sales and marketing for service based business owners, experienced coaches, high level consultants, and she's built and scaled two of her own companies to multi six figures. She currently serves as the CEO of Dream Life Marketing, a full service lead gen agency that specializes in ensuring profitability, optimizing attention, and converting raving fans into paying customers. Hanna's expertise has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs scale their businesses to 6 and 7 figures by empowering them to live in their zones of genius so they can create their dream life and they can do it in real life. She's currently walking the walk as a lifestyle entrepreneur living in Merida, Mexico. So, you guys, you're going to want to have a pen or a pencil handy and a journal to take a couple of notes because Hanna holds nothing back. One of the things I really love about Hanna is how much value she gives so freely. And if you are someone who's an entrepreneur or, someone who even just needs to become more visible, or you have a message on your heart, you want to share your voice, take notes because this is powerful. I'm just going to give you a couple of things you're going to hear inside this episode. So she talks about harnessing the power of human design. So when you onboard as a client in Hanna's agency, they are going to want to know what your human design is. They want to know what your energy type is so that they can show you how to market for your specific energy type. And let me tell you, there's so much power in understanding the right way for you instead of trying to emulate someone else whose energy is not a match for you at all. We also go deep on the framework that she uses when she's working with CEOs in helping them to create content. So if you've ever been in a space of like, oh, I don't know what to create, we're going to go really deep into this. She teaches you how they do flow sessions with their clients. You guys, I thought this was absolutely genius. Definitely take notes on this part. It's kind of these flow sessions she takes you through is a way that you're never going to run out of content again if you can tap into this. And then she really just talks about the power of becoming visible and making those soulful connections, which you guys know we believe in so much here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode with Hanna Hermanson. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited to introduce you to Hanna Hermanson. She is the owner of Dream Life Marketing. As you know, we're talking today all about setting up your business for flow. Hanna, can you just jump in and tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just telling Lisa, I'm truly living my vision board life in Merida, Mexico. I've been living here now for 3 years, and it's really because of the freedom lifestyle that I've been in pursuit of being an entrepreneur, building multiple businesses over the last 7 years. And today I'm excited to talk to you about the ways that we've gotten here and how we've been able to monetize not only my gifts, but many other people's gifts so that they can live in alignment, live their dream life, and serve that purpose, that like thing that they came to earth school to do that is outside of a lot of the traditional boxes that we were handed in the old like 9 to 5 industrial revolution like framework. I'm so excited to be having this conversation right now because we really are on this like leading edge of people waking up to like, okay, there's different ways to do this. We can use Zoom, we can, move to foreign countries, and like the internet's given us so much freedom. But I also know that a lot is changing. So I'm excited to tell you more so like where we're going in this conversation.
Yes. You said so much, right, in that intro that I'm like, "Ooh, I wanna talk about this and this and this." So, I love it. Love that you used Earth School. Our listeners know I talk about Earth School a lot. Like, that's what we're doing. We're here at Earth School. We're learning all the things. So, I wanna just jump in. So, Merida, Mexico. You've been there now for a few years. How does I want to hear your journey of getting there, and I also want to know, how does your environment, like being there in Mexico in this tropical environment, how does that influence your own life and your business for
Yes,
flow?
and you're gonna get into my other like passion, which is human design with that question.
Beautiful.
Because human design has taught me so much about the things that truly do light up my soul and how I know when I'm in alignment. And this was one of those places that it isn't logical. But my husband and I spent a year living in our backpacks in 2018. And this was one of our last stops. It wasn't on our radar at all. Our best friend Dan from San Francisco was like, I think you guys would love this Merida place. And we're like, okay, we'll fly out of there. So we were only here for like 3 nights in 2018, and I felt something. Not only was the Wi Fi the best I had seen in Mexico, which is a huge help for your central nervous system if you're trying to run a business. So that was delightful. But then there was just something really, really special about this place. But we were wrapping up our travels. We had to be back home for some health stuff with my in laws. And then the pandemic hit. And so we ended up being in California for a lot longer than we imagined. And this place just literally kept me up at night. And I spent hours on YouTube, truly like feeling like I lived here during the pandemic. We had a projector up on our screen, and I was just like learning everything I could about Merida. Well, fast forward halfway through the pandemic, I guess. And I finally said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's call that realtor that our YouTubers keep talking about. Let's book a one way ticket. Let's go for 6 months and see what happens. And that was 3 years ago. And those YouTubers are now, I have chills. They are our best friends. They just had a baby 2 weeks ago, and we were the first ones to go to the hospital. And this is what I mean, like the vision board. And I spent so much time living in it. And I know now it's because, like, I've even done cartography, like where they
Yeah,
tell you
yeah,
where you're still, and like there's a big red line through this place for me. And
of
I just
course.
feel like I'm in a vortex, truly. It's so magical. And it wouldn't have come from without the contrast of being a backpacker and experiencing different places and just knowing. I had to listen to my heart. And every time I've done that in my life, it's been pretty magical. So now we're here
Oh
and
my
we bought
gosh.
a house and our friends are having babies, and it's like where we're doing life now. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So you mentioned you're like the YouTubers were like were the YouTubers people you didn't know? Like it was somebody you were following on YouTube?
Yeah, no, I totally like fangirled them. So we followed, okay, because this is okay, here we go. Now we're getting into marketing 101. They were giving so much consistent value and answering all the questions that I had about like how much is rent? Is there a Costco? How do you do certain things? I was just watching this couple, it's about our age. They're from Portland, Oregon, doing what I wanted to do. And so we truly followed their advice and we reached out to their realtor, Barbie, and she helped us get our first place here. And within the first week of us being in this house, I just felt so much gratitude for them. They didn't know me. I actually asked them to like be on my podcast, and the email bounced. And finally I just found them on WhatsApp or Instagram, and I was like, will you guys come over for dinner? I fangirled them enough to invite them over to dinner, and the rest is history. Yeah, there are people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I love this so much. I mean, it just goes to show it's like when you are operating your life in flow, it's like it truly is about like well, you can tell me, but for me, it's so much about like okay, just take the step in front of you or just follow the breadcrumb of that thing that's bringing you joy. Because like you couldn't have foreseen like, oh, I'm going to move there and they'll be our best friends and it'll all be great. It's like just like no, like okay, this is the next right step for me. I'm just going to take it and then I'm going to see where it goes.
Yes. Yeah, that courageous step. And that's so much of what we're doing as entrepreneurs is just like constantly being willing to take that next courageous step. And I know how it feels to feel like I've taken the steps, Hannah. Like I've quit my job, I've started businesses, maybe you've moved, maybe you've changed relationships. And what I found is that life is all a project. And it's going to be constantly taking the next courageous step. If you're listening to this and you care about growth and purpose and want to make the most of Earth School. And so it's a little bit about gamifying it and a lot about just recognizing that we are all just humans with amazing tools, mostly the internet right now, doing things, and like we want to make connections, and we're not just up here because we love seeing our own talking heads. Like each of us want to co-create. And so being that courageous like action taker, doer, right? The universe rewards action.
Mhm. I totally agree. So I'm curious, like, did you find that once you took this step and you just were like a yes for those soul nudges or like a yes to this next thing, like what was the trajectory of your business during this time? Did it shift anything? Did you have a lot of growth during this time? What was that process like?
Everything, everything. So I quit. 2020. My poor family just really thought, I was losing it. But in 2020, I eloped, I got married, I quit my job. I was coaching inside of another multi seven figure coaching company, and I moved to Mexico. It was like my solar, not my like Saturn return or whatever. And I was just like, everything needs to be different. And so the opportunity was that I did start everything new in 2021, new location, new marriage. And because I had left the coaching company, I actually had a non compete. So I had been coaching for like 5 years, and then I joined this company. And then when I left, I couldn't coach. I needed to take at least a year of not competing in the same industry. And so that opportunity led me to shift into the done for you side of things. And I started a marketing agency instead of just the coaching side of things. So it really was like this new environment, this new way of showing up, this new way of serving clients. It really was that like everything is different, a lot of things are in Spanish. And I do know, because in human design, I have an open G center, which means that like my identity is fluid. And so it kind of is like every day is like Halloween for me. Like I'm the type of person where if you see me in a hat, you'll be like, wow, she looks this way. If you see me at the gym, you'd be like, she looks totally different. I just have that kind of like chameleon energy. And so it went really well to be just starting new things, new environment, new energy. And then this place is, it really is a vortex. Like there's healing energy here that I was able to tune into and expand so much of my like energy and mindset work along with building a new business, really.
Amazing. Were there ever moments along the journey where you questioned yourself or where you were like, "Wait, what am I just blew up my whole life," right? Like, everything is different. Did you ever have any moments on the journey that you questioned it, or was it really just this step-by-step flow approach?
That's a really interesting question. If we had this conversation 3 years ago, my answer would be so different. But I have to be really honest with you, Lisa. My biggest fear, thing that holds me back, question is like a fear of working too hard. Because I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, because freedom is my thing, because siestas is a whole lifestyle here. I told you it's a Mexican holiday today. Yeah, they take like every other week off. Like there's so much of the like people think I'm a honeymooner just when I go out to eat. I don't look like I live here. So there's all of this like temptation to just be on vacation, to totally lay back and bask in my pool all day. And I love that. But then I also think about something that one of my other, like I look up to Amanda Francis. She wrote Rich AF. And she reminds us that like we don't actually just want to sit on the beach and eat chips all the time. Although a lot of weeks, that's like my goal. Like I want to get to that part in the week. And so for me, it's been more of this like balance, and really why we did so much work with feminine energy the last couple of years is because I've been asking myself this question, like, how can I build something that's big and profitable and growing and still feel like I'm on vacation all of the time? And so that's been my dance and my questioning is like, do I want to work that hard? Do I want to give that much? Privacy is very alluring to me right now, and like putting yourself out on social media. It's just been about like navigating the showing upness for me.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I totally am hearing that, like, you just were trusting yourself to and are still in that process, right, of finding your way in all of this. Americans, like, we don't take enough
Yes.
vacation, for sure.
Yes, and like, this is my whole pendulum too, right? Like, I talk about this a lot, like, going too far in my masculine. When I was working for this other company, I had 80 clients, and I was working full time, and we were growing, and it was exciting, and I had a startup culture, and I was coaching, and we were building new programs, and I had this, like, deep desire to just be living on a beach. And so this is my whole like I think, and a shaman recently told me this is my whole earth school game is like how do I live my dream life and be the goal getter that likes to make things happen and not just be in the like whatever comes energy. It's like whatever comes, but it better be a beach house and a this and a that. Like all these big
Well,
goals that I
yeah, and I get so much joy out of working, right? So, yeah, like, I love the beach too, and I wanna lay on the beach and do all the things, but also, it wouldn't bring me joy to do that 24/7. My work brings me joy. Having conversations like this bring me joy. So I want to just shift gears into human design for a little bit because I know that you've mentioned that a few times, and I also know from some of our conversations, like you really bring it into the marketing aspect when you're working with people.
And my desire to go to the beach. That also gets into our marketing strategy, just so you know. It's all about how to make this as easy and aligned and like seamless as possible. And yeah, human design is a big part of knowing how much can you give? What is going to light you up and not burn you out? Yeah.
Amazing. So when you work with your clients, you work with them, like you help them understand their human design, and then you infuse that all into the marketing process. So say more. I want to hear
Yeah,
how you
yeah,
do this.
yeah. So just as you sign your contract and you get onboarded onto Slack, you're also going to get your human design chart as one of your first people are like, do market research, dig into the SEO analytics. I'm like, we are starting with your soul, my friend, because human design tells us how you are uniquely designed to exchange energy with the world. So for merchants, those of us who are like exchanging energy, like our goods and our products with the world, wow, human design literally tells us like how we're uniquely designed to do that. So I'm a manifesting generator, which means that I have both manifestor, which is very much about initiating things and bringing into the world things that have never been seen before, coming up with new, totally original ideas, and the generator, which the majority of society is right now, which is much more about building things, responding to the environment and making it better. I think about this as like if we were in the forest, manifestors and generators and manifesting generators, we'd be like squirrels on the ground, like getting the nuts, looking at them, throwing them. How far can we throw them? What if we threw three at a time? Like, let's test things, like, let's do things like on the forest floor. And so we end up working with a lot of those types of people because they're the doers. They're like on the field, they're like playing the game of life. And then there's also projectors. And these are people who I think of more like the birds on the tree because they are much more aligned when they're either going to be paid better to when they share the way that they see things happening. It's less about what they do and more about how they see things. So projectors are like the birds on the tree and they're watching all of us like running around, throwing our nuts. What should we do? And they're like, I see the easiest path forward. I don't know exactly how to run like a squirrel, but like I can tell the squirrels like go around the tree, do this like path. They can see that. And then the 1% of us, like your daughter, are reflectors. And these are more honestly like the leaves falling from the tree. They're just here to like reflect back our wisdom, show us like, okay, you're a squirrel, this is a leaf, like we're floating. And I have one of my best friends here is a reflector, and she has a really hard time like saying how she actually feels. She's like, I just feel blue and fuzzy about it. But she can do such a good job of like, I'll talk to her for 5 minutes and she'll be like, so you're feeling really uncertain. And I'm like, I didn't use those words, but she's just able to like reflect back our wisdom. So when you're in business, this is really good to know as well. Like, especially like I work with a lot of coaches, and it's really important for coaches to see like sometimes you're more of a guide, sometimes you're more of a teacher, sometimes you're more of like in life figuring it out with them. And so just making sure that you're working in a way that's aligned with clients. That's how we use like the broad types, human design types, which I just talked through. But for the marketing, positioning, and setting yourself up to be magnetic with your personal brand, we actually look at your profile numbers. So I'm a 4-6 manifesting generator. And like you guys, human design makes no sense. They don't use all the numbers. There's only certain combinations of numbers, and they all have their unique kind of disposition and meaning. But for me, a 4-6 means that I'm naturally seen as a role model. So back when I was marketing myself like the girl next door, and I was like, everyone just moves to Mexico. It's like, no, you can't say things like, I get it, or I'm just like you, because that not everyone is doing what I'm doing. They're looking up to me. So I had to start to reposition my brand in a way that was like more of that teacher, more of that leader. Like, I'm going first, learn from me, instead of like, come on, girls, like we're all in this together. And it's these nuances that shift the marketing for people who have been doing the strategy for years, who have plugged into the ads framework, who have taken all the things that are like, this is supposed to work, this works for my mentor. But there's a nuance to the way that you're uniquely created to exchange energy. So we'd have to take a look at all of that before we say, okay, Lisa, we're going to put you on LinkedIn and position you as a thought leader. Like, I don't know. Let's make sure that's going to resonate in a deeper way.
Totally. I think this is brilliant. And I know our listeners are going to be absolutely loving this. So you guys make sure you tell us your thoughts on this episode as you're listening. But I think it's so powerful to actually design your marketing or really anything in your life for that matter based on your unique design and the way that you're meant to function in the world. And I do think that's why so often, people are like scratching their heads, like, I did the step by step, like, I've done everything and it's not working for me. Or I thought I was going to love this and I hate working this way. I don't like to show up this way. It's like, this is another way. And I think using a tool like human design, it's like another inroad, right? To help to see, like, you could be looking at the same thing, but when you take this as another inroad, it's like, oh, when I look from my human design perspective, of course this makes sense. Like, instead of making myself wrong because I don't want to show up in some kind of way, or I do want to in some kind of way, actually, I can see this is like my unique design. So when I just honor
Yeah.
that and allow it, yeah,
And people
amazing.
feel that. People feel that even before AI. I was preaching to my clients the energy which you post with matters. If you put up a website that you feel like, ugh, gosh, no, like, you put up a post just because you need to check the box or because it's Friday and you always post something on Fridays, like, oh, that is just such like an outdated, again, like industrial revolution, masculine approach to just getting things done. And when we can, yes, calibrate our strategies to our energy type and know this is something we want to show up for and it's going to light us up, like that's important. All because energy really does transmit across screens. People can feel if you're in alignment, if you're genuine, if you really did that 50K month or not. People can like smell and feel like if it's real. And so now that we're having endless amounts of content, there's going to be no shortage of posts or sites or information thanks to truly a beautiful tool of artificial intelligence and sites like Chat GPT who can write content for you. But there is always a human ability to sniff out if it's real, if it's genuine, what energy is this rooted in? So we're also finding how our clients are able to ride this wave of thought leaders. Just literally it feels like you can just like open a can at the grocery store and it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm an expert in this. And so we can go into a whole nother conversation about AI, but I'm just telling all of us now, this is like this new paradigm that we're moving into. Your energy is going to sell, attract, and enroll people into your mission way more than the frameworks or the words or the specific boxes you check. It's about alignment.
Oh, I love this so much. It's like, yes, music to my ears. Kayla and I really see this like, us as an example. So Kayla has this sort of star quality about her. Like she loves to be front and center. Like you can watch, just to give you an example of how this would work if say we attend an event together, right? She loves to be front and center. She's gonna make 100 friends, and I mean genuinely. Like this is just her being her. She's gonna make 100 friends. She's gonna like have these connections. It's really effortless for her. And for me, when I go to an event, I enjoy it as well. You're more likely to see me like having a deep conversation with one or two people, right? And so instead of like 100 friends, I'm gonna probably get to know somebody really deep, and we're just gonna like have this soulful conversation. Not to say that Kayla doesn't, have those things, she does, but I'm just saying like as this example. And we realize that translates in social media for us too, right? Like she loves to like share about her life and like these examples of her life. And for me, it's a different energy and a different approach. And I have like played around with it. And I think like we're just really coming to this understanding too of like, oh, like we see how each of us can really honor the truth of who we are in the way that we show up. And that when we just honor that, it's magical, right? And it creates more results, or like we're more fulfilled. But I think that everyone is different. And sometimes we get this messaging from society that we should be a certain way, or if you're a business owner, you should go to a networking event and you should talk to 100 people.
Yeah. When you were talking
Yeah.
about that, I was like, I would be in my room in the bathtub with crackers and hummus. Like that's where you would
Yeah.
find me. Like make it
Yes.
I have really learned that those are not my environments for like making the real connections. And so much of this comes down like in order to set your business up for flow or be in alignment with your marketing, you do still need like a baseline structure, right? You in your relationship with social media, it's like, okay, Kayla loves sharing and she can be really just like organic and from the heart. But then it's also like, okay, how do you like put that out there? Is it a reel? Is it a post? Like, how do you translate these beautiful downloads and these ideas that you have that feel aligned, but then be able to, yeah, either show up to the event or post the content or create the partnership? There has to also be, with all this conversation about alignment and doing what feels good for your soul, there also has to be that masculine structure for flow to go to, right? I know we were going to maybe talk a little bit about masculine and feminine energy, but I would love to just share like this conversation about social media or like getting your marketing out there, because I've been with you and like, do I want to show up on social media? Do I want to be in the room? Like, what is the right thing? Because the truth is, you're not going to open your human design chart and it's going to be like, Lisa, 5 networking events a year, done.
Yeah,
Hannah, like,
totally.
start a podcast, done, right?
Right.
You
If
still have
only,
to
right? Yeah.
like do the experiment or have some of the
Mhm.
like marketing strategy in place. So do we want to go there?
Yeah, totally. Let's go there
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah, because I want to get to this like meat and potatoes because I think this is gonna be really helpful for you and your listeners of how we have like built this structure to show up in flow in our business, because we know marketing is not the thing you signed up for. You didn't start your florist shop. You didn't open your coaching business because you were like, I would just love to market my gifts for my whole life. But guess what? It's part of the gig, right? Like I really think of marketing as prana, the life force to your business, because you can have the most amazing ideas and offerings that if there's not energy coming into it, which is marketing, then cool hobby, right? So I'm excited, really excited about this because we've been doing this weekly strategy for the last several months, and we just had our first 60K week following this framework. So I'm really lit up about getting this to as many people as possible. And it is rooted in your alignment and those downloads, right? Like you were saying, how much you love working and like being in it and knowing that there's a higher purpose. Like it's leading to the transformation of your clients, it's leading to you being that expert. And so the first step of any marketing, like our marketing strategy, is to set aside 10 to 30 minutes every single week for a flow session. And we do this on Slack, and it can either be like in a document if you're a writer, or sometimes our clients will just voice memo us. And these flow sessions are all about what's like trending. What are you caring about? What do you keep hearing in client sessions? What's the topic of the week? Right. And so sometimes you will have those weeks where it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's asking me about boundaries. We must need to like talk more about boundaries, or here are my thoughts on boundaries. Or other weeks, it's just for your own self. Like, wow, I realized how helpful human design was for me to figure this piece out of my own life. So we just ask you to like brain dump that, not in a way that it's going to fit somebody's copywriting template, not because it's going to be the logo, like the tagline on your website, just because it's real and true. Again, this is where you're going to keep setting yourself apart from AI. You're not going to like put it into a machine and see what it's like truly lived experience. What's up? Okay. So those flow sessions. Then the way that we do this at our agency, there are team members, which hang out with me long enough and I'll convince you to delegate everything in your life because it is a beautiful way to live in alignment, is to let other people live in their alignment next to you. So then we do put this into some sort of marketing calendar or a content calendar. And so then we think about, okay, so let's say boundaries was what you had a flow session about. Then we'll say, okay, we're going to explore this boundaries topic and we're going to hear Lisa's unique voice on this. And we will have you, shoot some videos just talking to a camera in a framework that really is just to educate your audience. Just so you know, guys, like bait and switch, holding things behind closed doors, only telling certain things to your audience is also like an outdated practice. I really encourage you to literally say the things that you were saying in coaching sessions or with clients, like to your audience, because you want to create that. Oh my gosh, I have been thinking about that for 2 years. Lisa finally just gave me like an actual answer on boundaries, not just fluff. And this is what has people keep coming back to you all the time, is like actual value. So we'll go ahead and we'll ask you, shoot a couple of videos or write some emails or whatever the platform is, some LinkedIn posts to just share Lisa's voice, your unique perspective on that. Then, and this is where the marketing strategy comes in, because I know you all know how to like post and like share things. Okay, here's a great idea. But then that's the C part of our CEO's funnel, connecting. Use your flow session to inspire the content you're actually going to post so you can be connecting with people. Then the engaging piece is where we ask you to like actually put what you were in. There's a framework, like we'll help you script this out, but actually create a longer form piece of value. And I'm not talking about a lead magnet, okay? We all have our graveyard of downloads that we never answer and emails that we just sit and unsubscribe to. Email marketing is important, but I'm not asking you to just create lead magnet after lead magnet. I'm asking you to actually create like a 10 to 15-minute training. Like tell them what you know about boundaries. So that then after people are interested, the call to actions we're using right now are like DM me if you want to know the full solution, or comment a heart below if you want to see the full walkthrough. And it's not bait and switch. It's truly, this is what we did with this client. Here it is. There's no hard pitch at the end. Because what we're finding is that the law of reciprocity is more potent than ever. Because people are used to robots giving them content or people giving them content, which is just a big pitch disguised. And so when you actually show up with pure value consistently, and it's what people are actually caring about right now because you did your flow session, people start to feel indebted to you in the way that they want to keep coming back for more, or they do want to say, like, thank you, or share your work, or move down the sales pipeline if they're qualified. And then we can get them into the O part of our funnel, which is offering. So, CEOs, we're connecting with relevant content and value. We're engaging by saying, hey, if you want more of this, like I'll give you the full talk through or have a longer training on this. And then the O is if you want help implementing or this is like actually resonating, then what's the offer that you have? And more of our clients aren't even doing sales calls. And I was really surprised by this because we're in competitive industries, marketing, coaching. There's a lot of noise out there. And to start to see clients saying like they had 12 enrollments without a sales call, or we just did a 60K week, which is 5 people saying yes to a 12K offer, and they're just emailing me back like, can we start on Monday? They're not even like they're pre-enrolling because of this law of reciprocity and the education. So there, I wanted to make sure I got those meat and potatoes into your audience today for the CEO's funnel, because that's the structure. Then you literally just show up. What's your flow session? What's up? You've been living your life, you've been doing your business. Take a few minutes to reflect. And then we put it into this sort of machine, right? This sort of like rinse and repeat masculine structure that can keep just being poured. Like you can put your divine feminine energy in, you can put your voice into. We're really excited about it.
It's really powerful, and one of the things I like about what you're saying here, Hannah, is that I know from a lot of our clients, I mean, we don't really teach business strategy, although some of our higher level masterminds, we're working with them certainly closely with their business and those pieces. But what we're really interested is helping people tap into their alignment, to the truth of who they are, and to just really show up and, without self-doubt and all of those things. And so what I find is really true about our listeners and the people that work with us is it's almost like they can't show up in a way that's inauthentic. It is so like it stops them. You know what I mean? It's like if I've seen it happen so many times, it's been my experience too. Like you take some training or a strategy that you take on that is like, okay, you need to do this. And if it's out of alignment with the way that you want to work and the way that you want to give value, there's just this disconnect, right? So when people are really embracing this idea of showing up as you're saying, it's like you're really just doing these flow sessions and you're paying attention to what's in real time happening in your life and you're sharing your words, that authentic alignment piece is so powerful.
Yeah. And I also want to just like toss in here that, yeah, we want to share our lives, but not these like crying on the bathroom floor, vulnerable in the moment. Like, I spent so many years worried about, like, am I going to get canceled? Am I racist? But when you put it in a framework, so, most of these things that are happening, we're taking 2 weeks because there's video editors and there's copywriting and there's scheduling. Okay. So this also takes that pressure off of like, I have to sell everything right now. I have to go live on my stories and like get this out.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you have this like rinse and repeat reliable system, then that takes a lot of that stress off of either I have to say something, forcing it, Or, I want to say this right now, but let it get massaged. Let it be worked in a way that's still going to position you as the thought leader, as the expert, as someone with value. Because I see this too, where people are like, okay, I'll do it. And then they go and they say so much for a week and then they're tired. And then they don't have something to say next week. So this is about really setting up your life and your business for flow so that it's consistency and it doesn't rely on, it being the right time of the month. That's another thing I hear from people. It's like, I have so many ideas during certain phases of my cycle. And I'm like, let's just make this so that it doesn't matter. So that no matter what your energy is, you're still providing value, showing up consistently, which is really one of the hardest things for people who are authentic, because not every week is the same and you don't always feel inspired. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, this is it's brilliant. I love this so much and I know like we're getting close on time here, but I'm so curious like I know a lot of our listeners are really driven and and not all of our listeners are entrepreneurs as well, but I do feel like these same concepts apply. So, if you guys are listening and you're like, "Yeah, I don't really have a business yet or I don't plan to have one." I truly feel like you can take these same concepts and just apply it to your life. You can apply it to your work for sure. What would you say though, Hannah, to somebody who is, I don't know if just getting started is the word, but like is a really driven entrepreneur, has these big dreams and goals, is making a lot happen, and they also know it's like, yes, and I know that I want to start creating with way more flow. I want to tap into that lean back energy sometimes. What is a good place to just get started or to make one simple shift?
Strategically or energetically? Because I was going to say something about like being comfortable with visibility, or just like visibility no matter what you're trying to create, even if it's a relationship. There's so much to being willing to be seen. And I can say this because I hid for a year. I left social media for a year and I was like, we're doing email marketing and referrals and podcasting, and my hair never has to be done for any of those things. And isn't that awesome? And I'm on a very big journey of visibility. And so that just was coming through of like, doing the inner work and taking the actions required to be seen. Because even if you are the hottest girl in the cafe and you never look up from your laptop, you are not going to see Prince Charming walking in. And even if you have the most amazing like tax auditing service and no one knows about it, then it's not actually that amazing. So visibility just feels like something wow, for your audience and myself too, to just like keep top of mind, like be available for. And then when it comes to like strategically starting to be visible or starting to do the top of our funnel, which is connecting, it really is about gamifying it. So when I was just getting started, my mentor at the time was Jack Canfield, and he gave me a post-it that had just 5 lines on it. It's a huge stack. I still have it 8 years later. 5 lines, so that every day I was reaching out to 5 people and I was writing their name down. Because if you don't want to put money in ads, or you don't have a fancy website to be sharing with people, or whatever thing you think you need before you start making connections, you literally need a piece of paper and 5 names a day. And from this like place of permission to not be strategic about it, permission to just start being top of mind to people again, so that when you do post or when you do have something to offer, you've been nurturing relationships. Truly, some of these 5 outreaches can be to like your brother who you haven't talked to in a month, like hope his dog is doing good. Like it, just being in that action of being known, being connected, is a really powerful place to start, because no matter where you're at in the business game, beginning, middle, or where you want to be, it's always a relationship game. It's all about the people. So make that a priority to be nurturing.
Amazing. Yeah, do the things that matter most, you guys. And that's always going to be those relationship, those connections, nurturing those, but you don't have to nurture them 20 hours a day, right? What Hannah is saying is 5 connections a day. Get top of mind and just make this a habit, like build that muscle so that when you do this consistently day after day, right, that opens up space. You're not getting lost in this scroll or trying to, I don't know, hustle your way to 500 other places online to meet people. It's like, can you just do 5 a day to start? I think that's amazing. So, love this. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners before we sign off today?
No, I would just love if I'm one of the people you connect with on Instagram or at the Dream Life is Real Life website. I love actually having real conversations. So I hope to hear from some of you listeners.
Amazing. So, yes, reach out to Hannah on the website, on Instagram. So, go ahead and tell us, Hannah, like, what is the way that people can find you online?
Yeah, the Instagram is just the easiest place to be having quick conversations like this. So I'm Hanna Hermanson underscore. If you start typing in Hanna Hermanson, there's only two H's in the whole thing. So I'm not a palindrome Hannah. I'm always forward, one H. Hope that helps you find me.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much for your time. As always, so much wisdom. And I just love hearing your perspective on marketing and flow and all the things that we can do to just be the best version of us while we're here on Earth School. So,
Cheers.
so
Thank you.
appreciate you. Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to tell you that the Joy Challenge is back and we begin on March 11th. First of all, if you've never heard of the Joy Challenge, let me take a moment to tell you what it is. So we ran this challenge for the first time last year, and we were blown away with the feedback and the results people received inside the challenge. So this is a 5-day challenge that Kayla and I lead. And the reason we wanted to create this for you is because if you are someone who wants to live your yes life, and I know that you are because you're listening to this, I am sure that part of that includes experiencing radical joy in your life. And so often what we find is that when we're working with our clients, there is this belief or this idea that first we have to work really, really hard, or we have to sacrifice and struggle, and then finally someday, when we are living our yes life, then we can make space for joy. But what I really know to be true is that actually joy comes first. We want to be in the habit of experiencing joy in our life every single day and allowing that to be the roadmap to living your yes life. And the thing that we found is that actually when we build our life on an experience of having more joy, more money, more profit, more abundance naturally follows. So we want to take you on an experience with us over 5 days. Now, let me tell you a little bit about how this is going to run. So you can actually come for free. I have a free 3-day preview pass for you if you want to come and check it out and see what it's all about for free. Or if you're someone who wants the full experience, and this is what I actually recommend, you can grab the full access 5-day pass. So we'll be going live for an hour every day beginning March 11th for 5 days in a row. And we are going to be your life coaches and your guides to help you discover what it looks like to actually implement these joy activators that we're going to teach you. And then we're going to help you have an experience of cultivating more joy in your life. And you are going to experience instant results during this process. It is such an eye-opening and amazing experience that we get to go through together. So we're going to be live together every day for an hour. And then there is an opportunity, if you have the full access 5-day pass, to join us in the VIP room. Once you are there in the VIP room, you get to watch us do some coaching in real time to support you as coaches. And that's really this is where we get to really deepen the experience. So you can really choose your own adventure with this, whether you want to come and check it out, see what it's all about, grab that free 3-day preview pass. You can always upgrade if you decide you want the full experience, again, which I highly recommend. And you can check it out. I'm going to drop the link below. So you can go ahead and check it out. You'll see a video there from Kayla where she takes you through day by day what we're going to be doing inside of the Joy Challenge. But I do promise you this. If you jump into this challenge with us, you are going to have an experience of cultivating more joy, and a really awesome energetic activation gets to happen for you inside of this experience. So click the link and then send us a message if you have any questions. We're here for it. We'd love to see you inside of the Joy Challenge. And again, we begin March 11th.